Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl. I'm back again. I know I took a break. Breaks are always necessary, especially when you are working on yourself, you grinding, you doing your own thing. I know that my channel is predominantly talking about narcissism due to me having a narcissistic mother. Of course, she's never been diagnosed. She'll tell me that I need a psychiatrist and a therapist and I'm crazy and all these things. Well, if that's the case, I'm engaged and, so it's like you're 60 years old, never been engaged, never gonna be married, and that's what makes you look just as crazy as Vivica Fox looks right now. Have y'all heard about what's going on with Vivica Fox lately? Well, the internet is clowning the hell out of her, and I have to agree that Kevin Samuels was right. That, what he spoke of, you out here, just giving it up to all these different men in these different relationships, never been married. Because I didn't know until recently I heard different people talking about Vivica Fox and stuff like that. I thought she would have had kids. I thought she would have been married, maybe divorced within her 60 years. Well, let's take out the first, we're going to take out the first year. So within the last 40 years of her life, from 20 to 60 years old, I would have thought she probably would have been married and divorced, maybe once, had some kids. But here she is, 60 years old, looking for a husband. Well, I'm here to tell you that as the economy changes, family structure changes too. There is a lot of talk about, the human population, the human race. Japan and Korea right now are paying American men $75,000 for you to go over there and basically nut in their women over there, or take your own family over there and populate it, because majority of their population is elderly people. And being that majority of their population is elderly, you need elderly accommodations, wheelchairs, ramps, things for, elderly, because they struggle to kind of get around up in age. So do you know how feminism has affected so many countries and so many things in the world for society to be the way that it is right now? I feel like feminism is a major enabler to narcissism. All right. So what does that mean? It means that any woman who is a narcissist, feminism has enabled her, because, and I say enabled because she gets to escape accountability. She doesn't have to be responsible for her decisions, her choices, or her actions, because it's the same story. Well, I was young and dumb. Look, I'm sorry to say, but if we back it up 3, 4, 5 generations, back to the 1900s, because I can go back 3 generations to my great-great-grandmother. She was born 1911. That's basically fucking 1900. She had 6, 7 kids, and all of those kids went on to make all kids and great-grandkids on down the line, right? So at the end of the day, I can go back in my own bloodline a few generations back, and the women handled raising all their children while picking cotton and working on the railroad, because this is prior to segregation, which took place in civil rights and all that took place in the 60s, right around the time that my narcissistic mother was born. So at the end of the day, narcissism has been around, but feminism has enabled it in a major way, because I'm just speaking on my personal life and my personal experience dealing. I'm not saying that every single mother is a narcissist. I'm not saying that every single mother, doesn't love her kids or isn't doing the best she can, or whatever the case may be. So do not take it that way. But I do feel like this. If you are triggered as a single mother, if you feel the shoe fits, I need you to lace that bitch up and wear it, because you feel triggered for a reason. And instead of getting mad at me for expressing my own personal experience coming from a single mother home, I knew that for me personally, I would not do the single mother thing. If, it wasn't in my cards in this lifetime to be married and have kids with my husband, then kids wasn't a route for me in this life. And I was 100% okay with that. So the manipulative men out there, the trash men out there who want to sit there and be like, oh, you women are going to die alone and all of this. Well, sir, you won't be at the funeral. So what does it matter to you if she dies alone? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, feminism has been a major problem worldwide. A lot of women are wanting to put their careers ahead of, marriage and family. And then when they look up and they're 50, 60, 70 years old, what do they have to show for it? Now, let's rewind it back. I'm going to take you back to my bloodline, all right? I speak on my personal experience, and if it resonates with you or you can relate, comment down below. I don't care if you agree or disagree. You know what I'm saying? When God gives me a truth to speak on, I'm going to speak it, whether you like it or not, because at the end of the day, this is my channel. These are my opinions that are backed up by facts, statistical facts. You can go and Google single mother household statistics, and it will tell you that most children that are raised in single mother households end up being high school dropouts. Well, my eldest brother, he dropped out of high school. He didn't go back and get his high school diploma until he was 21 years old. I mean, hey, better late than never, but for all that, he might as well have just went and got a GED. And then another thing, single mothers tend to create son husbands out of their sons. She has not secured a man or a husband for herself, so she turns her son into that son husband, trying to emotionally enmesh with him. The boy don't know where he started and his mother ends. The mother don't know where she started and where he starts. It's a disgusting emotional enmeshment of the narcissistic mother with her son. She smothers the son. She's always guilt tripping the son. And in some cases, I know in my personal case, I watched my mom beat the living shit out of my brother. She beat him with extension cords, she would spend all this money on vases to decorate our home just to bust it over his head, neck, and shoulders. I'm surprised the boy don't have brain damage and he's 40 something right now. He is dying of kidney failure. That's a shame because she's been wishing death on him for a very long time, which tells me that when I was 12 years old and he went to go in 2003 to go do Fed time for, having sex with a 12-year-old at 21. And mind you, I did a background check on all of my family members. And a lot of these people will never tell me that they've had evictions, repossessions, that they've refinanced things, that they have, filed bankruptcy multiple times. These are things that people are not going to share. And I'm not saying that they have to, because that is their personal business. But for me, I like to know who the fuck I'm around and who I'm dealing with, because these very people who have evictions, bankruptcies, refinancing, don't get me wrong, I've refinanced, my car once, but I paid mine off. But I'm not saying that that's bad. We all go through financial difficulties. But in my family, all these bitches are single mothers. All these bitches are dysfunctional and toxic. And they got the nerve to open their mouth and attempt to give me advice. Shut the fuck up. If anything, you need to be taking advice from me. I didn't become a fucking single mother. When you make different choices than the majority in your family, you have to realize something. When God has given you a mission, when God has given you a purpose, you are going to be by yourself. Because the very people who do not want to break the generational curse, and I believe single motherness is a generational curse. Well, my mom was a single mother and my grandmother, and on back. It does not matter what they did. You got to break the spell and the curse over your bloodline and lineage. Ain't no way I have watched them struggle and endure without a man, but yet the government has brainwashed them and completed the brainwashing, has done the greatest psyop in history, and feminist women, they fell for it. Now look at them. They're in their 60s. Because the baby boomers, they were the ones that got sold the idea of, let me tell you, there's 3 types of men that a woman will rely on. Her father. If the father is not around, well, now it's the government or the man she ends up marrying. But nonetheless, a woman is going to depend on a man. How many of y'all know of single mothers depending on government assistance? Section 8, welfare. Now, I'm not putting these mothers down. Do what you need to do to survive, because at the end of the day, you are in survival mode. Now, the question is, if you had a man in your life to give you stability, leadership, and everything like that, you would need to be in survival mode. But see, this is what single mothers create. They create a household where the children feel like they gotta walk on eggshells. The children she tries to guilt trip the children that, well, I raised you for 18 years. Now it's your turn to take care of me. Newsflash, narcissistic women, your children owe you jack shit. The children didn't tell you to open your legs and let a nigga clap them cheeks and bust the nutter butter in that vagina, and kaboom, you had a baby. Everybody knows how sex works. The dick goes in the vagina, the man ejaculates in there, and then that sperm is gonna wiggle, wiggle, wiggle and swim its way up to your ovaries, and you can potentially get pregnant. Stop the cap. We have condoms. Condoms is not a new invention in 2024. Condoms have been out before I was born in 91. Birth control, abortion has existed long before I was on the planet. So for over 30 years now, these things have existed. Take accountability and responsibility that you looking for love and you equate love to, oh, well, he keeps having sex with me, he must love me. No. If you go to the Bible and you've ever read the Bible in your life, Jacob kept having sex with Leah, even though he was in love with her baby sister, Rachel. Rachel was barren for a time, and he kept on screwing Leah. Had multiple kids by her, but he hated her guts. That should be an example to you that a man will fuck you and hate you at the same time. Sounds crazy, but it's the truth. That's called a hate fuck, okay? That's just giving you game, because a lot of people be acting like they slow as hell out here. Like they just don't understand what's going on. How could he hate fuck me? Well, 1, you allow it, and 2, the man can't do no more than what you allow. These narcissistic baby mama terrorists, that's what I call them. They are the very ones who are deadbeat mothers. You want to know why I call them deadbeat mothers? Because these mothers love to alienate their children, their sons and daughters, from the father, because they cannot control the man. The man does not want to marry her. The man has chosen to move on to another relationship with a woman who brings him peace, respects him. You know, peace goes a long way for a man. Respect goes a long way. But if you always have to, because my mother would always love to say, well, I'm very opinionated. Very opinionated is just a fancy word for I don't know how to shut the fuck up. I don't know how to pick and choose my battles. I always am right. I always have to be right. And so because you always have to be right, that's why you lose the man. You might be able to attract him to some extent, but can you keep him for the long term? Now, I'm getting on the women because I'm talking about single mothers. Now, if you do the statistics in a single father household, single fathers do a tremendously better job than single mothers do. Why is that? I really wonder. You know, men struggle to raise multiple kids by themselves, but they don't complain. They don't cry about, oh, I'm tired of working and I'm tired of it. They don't do what the women do. Oh, I'm too pretty to work. Oh, a man should love me because I'm beautiful. Well, your beauty is going to fade in time. So when you become 40, 50, 60, you are no longer in your prime. You are nothing like the 18, 21, 25-year-old, 30-year-old you. You now got, saggy, waggy titties now. You lay down, your titties is back here behind your neck. You got a kangaroo pouch now because you didn't have multiple kids. Now you got all that damn jiggly right here, But then women love to throw that, well, I'm not fat, but I mean, look, no, you're fat, boo-boo. You're fat. And we need to stop that, oh, I'm petite. Petite, you're skinny. If you're short, you're short. If you're tall, you're tall. If you're fat, you're fat. It is what it is. Because if you go and compliment a woman, oh, you are so beautiful, just like Lizzo, they are appalled and offended. But wait a minute. I thought Lizzo was so empowering to the plus size community and everything like that. Right now she's going through 3 lawsuits because behind the scenes, she was fat shaming her fat dancers, but she's fat herself. Make that make sense. I'm not saying that we should go around like shaming people's bodies or anything, but at the same time, you need to take accountability that instead of eating a salad from time to time, because trust me, I've met some obese people who I'm allergic to eating salads. Well, I couldn't tell that you so damn picky as big as your ass is. Excuse me for, thinking that you never missed a meal and that you ate anything. But you got the nerve to be picky about eating some veggies and some fruit. Really? You allergic to drinking water. Oh my God. It sounds crazy, but I've had conversations and those people try to get me to agree. I'm not going to agree with the fat ass agenda. I'm not. Obesity is unhealthy. If this was the 1930s or the 1950s and you are 200 plus pounds as a woman, which is heavier than the average man, then come on. You would have been in a circus back in the day. You would have been labeled, whatever they would have labeled you in the circus as. Same thing with like a bearded woman. They call it PCOS. Well, she has thyroid problems and man, look, I think that these doctors create these diagnoses and they like to just cater to women's feelings. Oh, it's okay that you grow facial hair. You just have PCOS. No, you just have a high body count from letting multiple niggas from age 12, 14, 16, all the way to your 40s and however old you are now, basically blow up the club. It's crazy to hear the things that women say. I had this ex-coworker. She's in her 40s now. She's over 200 pounds obese because going by the BMI, your height, if most women are like 5 foot, 5'5", there is no excuse why you're over 200 pounds. You are considered by that chart to be obese. But a lot of them don't care. They get into these relationships and these marriages and they get comfortable. They get lazy and then they blow up and you can see it. They faces get all poofy and puffed up. If you go look at Vivica A. Fox back in the 90s, and you look at Vivica A. Fox today in 2024, she's a fucking blimp, a goddamn balloon. She has gotten fat over time, you know? And you got the audacity to want somebody to marry your 60-fat-year-old ass. And that pussy, I'm sure, is beef curtains. You don't get wet no more, but honey, you get moist these days. Stop it. You are past menopause. You can't produce children. You would have to go with a surrogate, which is a lot of damn money. Or you would literally have to go get you a young 18, 20, 30-something-year-old woman that would be a surrogate to produce you a child because your eggs is gone. No man wants to produce an autistic and a special needs retarded child. Why? That child didn't ask to be here because you made the decision to put your career first. You wanted to be career oriented, and if I'm a woman, I can do what men can do. And now you 60 years old and your health is slowly declining, you know, you're fat. What are you producing? When's the last time y'all seen Vivica A. Fox in a movie lately? I ain't seen her in anything since Independence Day. Since Two Could Play That Game. You know, I haven't seen her in anything past 2003 when I was 12 years old. And she was very gorgeous at that time. She had to be in her 20s, maybe going into her 30s at that time. But you're 60 now. But see, this is what feminism has done. All these women out here, well, I don't want kids. Well, that's fine if you don't want kids. But don't sit there and push the women who do want to be married, who do want to produce a family with their husband. Do not discourage them from what it is that they want to pursue in their life because you're a feminist. If you're a feminist and you're anti-man and you hate men, well, the day I see a crew of females building a house, building bridges, building roads, collecting the trash, doing plumbing, electrician, things that I see mostly men do. The day I see all women companies doing what the men are doing, I'll believe feminism. Other than that, it's just a bunch of women who feel like, oh, I'm sexually liberated. I can have sex with as many men as I want. But then when it comes down to you wanting to settle down and get married, and that man asks you your body count, why do you feel ashamed? Body count doesn't matter. If it didn't matter, ma'am, if it didn't matter, why can't you answer that man's question? Why can't you say, oh, I've been with 300 men in, the last 40 years or 4 decades of my life? You know what I'm saying? It's a simple question, but I'll tell you exactly why they don't want to answer the question. Because deep down inside, they are ashamed. Deep down inside, they know what it looks like. They know what it sounds like. And they want to sit there and play like, oh, well, I was young and dumb. Well, guess what? Young and dumb isn't an excuse. That's just like saying ignorance is bliss. That's literally the equivalent. We live in a day and age where everybody has a cell phone. So what is your excuse for still being stupid? For being ignorant? If you in 2024 are still using, well, ignorance is bliss. No, ignorance costs you in the long run. So, for example, if you ever heard of Fresh and Fit, the guy Myron, apparently he loved bringing 304 hoes onto his podcast and he loved bashing them. Now, my thing is, how do you go off? You talk about you hate hoes, but then you go and get a hoe pregnant. Because behind the scenes, when the camera is not on and rolling, you are simping. You are doing the opposite of what you're doing, of what you claim to be doing. This is why I don't take anybody on the internet seriously. I don't. Because realistically, you got to understand, even Cat Williams said, Today, everybody wants to be a social media influencer and won't influence a motherfucking thing. So at the end of the day, we live in a time where you can be whatever you want. You can create a little digital avatar. You can say that, oh, I'm this and I'm that and I'm this and I'm that. At the end of the day, those who know you behind the scenes outside of the internet, they know who you really are. And they know exactly what you're about. I'm not going to sit here and get on my channel preaching, hey, you guys should be vegan and this and that, when I know that I just got done eating America's best wings. Tow them up. Yes, I on occasion am still going to eat meat, but do I still eat vegan dishes? Yes. Do I still eat salads? Yes. Do I eat my fruits? Yes, I do. Do I drink milk? No, not really. Do I sit there and take, herbs? Yes, I do. I'm not going to sit there and become a new human being to satisfy somebody else. I'm spiritual, but I don't follow these spiritual people on the internet talking about well, if you don't eat plants are living creatures. Just because they don't talk or we can't hear them talk doesn't mean that they don't have a frequency to feel pain when you cut their branches, when you pull their leaves, when you cut the grass. You are literally cutting plant life. They have the ability to feel pain, believe it or not, but because you don't hear them screaming and yelling and going owie and you don't see them bleeding, you feel like, oh, plants is just plants. No. You also think the same thing with animals. A lot of people think animals are just dumb. If animals were so dumb, how come they know when a storm is going to come before you do? They know when earthquakes, tsunamis, and all types of stuff is going to happen. So animals ain't dumb. They're very in tune with the planet, unlike human beings who've been, pushed to become disconnected. Maybe if you went outside barefoot in the backyard or in some grass or at a park and just grounded yourself and became a little more, in tune with not just yourself, but then you would understand things around you. The more in tune you are with yourself, the more you can understand other people. But the more, because you got to understand, when people are disloyal to you, they're disloyal to themselves first. When people don't respect you, they don't respect themselves first. When people don't like you, that's because they don't like themselves. When people hate you, they hate themselves. So why are you taking things personally? That person's feelings towards you, is it stopping you from eating, paying your bills, sleeping like a baby? Is it stopping what you got going on in your household? If it's not stopping nothing that you got going on, then why do you care what they think? But I just found it interesting that single mothers are the number one narcissists in the world. I don't know not one single mother on the face of this planet that is happy. Go to TikTok, y'all. You will see these birds. Man, I got bipolar disorder. I got borderline personality disorder. They stay medicated on these drugs. They go to these therapists and psychologists who are not helping them. They are just telling them enough to keep them coming back and constantly refilling their pockets. Because I feel like true therapy, it heals you. It heals you to where you're not going to keep going back, but you can actually begin to improve and show progress in your life. Like single mothers, they are the biggest narcissists. I'm not saying all of them are narcissists, but in my personal experience, my mother is a narcissist. I know this for a fact. She fits all nine traits of the disorder. Then on top of that, she was a single mother. She alienated me and my brother from both of our fathers. Basically, that makes her a 2x2, meaning she has 2 kids by 2 different men. So that's on her. I commend the women who had all their children by one man, but it just didn't work out. I commend the women who they had their kids by one man, but the man died. So they may not have gotten a chance to marry that man. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that's a whole different situation. But I'm talking about if the mother just is bitter, about the relationship ending with the father, she ends up basically creating issues between the child and the father. You want that child to continue like the Statue of Liberty, holding the torch of hatred towards the father. Meanwhile, the father got all kind of receipts, birthday cards, gifts, and things like that say the mother sent back or she took the money. I mean, you're a kid. You don't know what the hell your mama did or didn't do. But them court documents do not lie. Those receipts that the men keep for child support, gifts, etc., don't lie. And then go look up Kirk Franklin. Kirk Franklin is a prime example also, where his single mother, she didn't even raise him. The grandmother raised Kirk Franklin. But then when he became this famous gospel singer and he got all this, money, now all of a sudden his mother, he's finding out who his biological father is, and the mother's still playing dumb, still being manipulative, still being a bitch. And she goddamn 50, 60 years old. No, she's not 50, 60. He's 50. I think his mother's probably like in her 70s or something. But she should be ashamed of herself nonetheless. This man went and took 2 different paternity tests by 2 different companies, got the same exact result, and the mother's still lying, using her crocodile tears to manipulate this man because, this man is going to cut her off and stop paying her bills. Single mothers are absolute garbage. They're trash buckets and bins. And you know what? I don't even judge men who use single mothers as a pump and dump. I know that sounds really messed up, but you know what? I used to think, like, listening to my other, brothers and stuff like that, and some of the shit that they say, I'm like, damn, why would you think that way? But you know what? From their angle, seeing how these women are, and they think to themselves, I'm a good woman. No, you're not. If you're alienating your child from his father, you're not a good woman. You're a deadbeat. If you are sitting there, and I'm not talking about like if the father is narcissistic or a danger to the child, or anything like that. I'm talking about there are genuine good fathers out here paying their child support, buying their kids, clothes, trying to be actively involved in the child's life, but the mother makes the man's life a living hell, all because she produced his seed. You're mad because he didn't marry you. He married the next woman who brought him peace, who actually showed him love and support and the things. See, single mothers don't know what it takes, because if they did know what it takes to become a wife, they would have been wifed up by somebody. But most of them are feminists. Most of them feel like they don't need a man. But if you didn't need a man, why are you crying and bitching on the internet looking for sympathy and empathy from people on the internet to support your bad decision making? You crying about making a child with that man, but you wasn't crying at one point. He was that guy. Ooh, he that man. Ooh, he make me feel good. Ooh, the sex. That's all you going by? You're not going by, would this man make a great father? Would this man make a good provider and a protector? You're not going by any of them traits. Instead, you're all superficial. Ooh, he got muscles. He got a 10-pack. Well, that 10-pack ain't so great when he punching you and blacking your eye and pushing you down the steps and all this stuff. Them muscles ain't so attractive then, huh? I'm just saying, like, listening to these single mothers talk out the side of their necks. They talk about, I love my kids, but then I can't tell that you love them. You complain every chance you get. You bitching, crying, and whining every time I turn around. And you want me to believe that you love your child. Does your child know that you talk foul about them? Do you ever tell your child, do you ever tell your son or daughter, I'm so proud of you, son. I'm so proud of you, daughter. I can tell you personally from my single narcissistic mother, I've never once heard her say that she's proud of me. And I stopped giving a fuck about whether she's proud of me, because I'm proud of me. I'll be 33, she's 60 something. Lonely, bitter, alone. That's why she was begging me last year. Do I look like I want to be a golden girl? Ooh, we gonna live together as lonely golden girls. No, you gonna live a lonely life by yourself and you gonna die. You made your choices. You made that bed, lie in it. If it got bed bugs and roaches and centipedes and spiders in it, well, that's a bed that you made. You gotta lie down in it and get bit. That's on you. No child has came into this world, wanting to be in the shadow of like a single mother. Oh, you so stressed from work, so you come home yelling and screaming at your kids for no reason, cursing them out, belittling them, calling them worthless and useless. Well, hey, now look at her. Now who's useless and worthless and lonely and bitter and can't get a man? You're just like Vivica A. Fox, Mom. Round of applause. Make that ass clap. But nobody wants that sogginess. You soggy now. You old now. Ain't nobody checking for you. Ain't no man 18 to 30 checking for you. And a 60-year-old man don't want you. So if you looking for somebody, you got to go and get a man that's 70, 80, 90 years old. But, oh, he old. Shit, you old. Next, you sugar mama age. Ain't no young dude. Yeah, he might use you for practice, but he ain't going to take you seriously as in like, oh, I want to marry you. Are you serious? You really are delusional to believe such a thing. And I'm sorry, but single mothers are delusional. They have the highest standards for men. Where were these standards when you was just having all the free sex in the world and popping out all these kids? Where was your standards then? Crickets, right? But I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, but oh well. It needs to be spoken, it needs to be said, because a lot of single mothers in real life that are in my bloodline, cousins, you know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers that are older than me, generations back, they're jelly of me because here I am, 30, I'm engaged right now. But guess what? If I could have been engaged back in my 20s with the same man, then I would definitely have been. But I'm not about to sit here and be no single mom. I'm not about to sit here and just produce kids because that's what a woman is supposed to do. No. Back in the day, women got married. They had children. Single mothers is a new invention as of the boomer generation. So where boomers be talking shit about millennials, well, look at what y'all created. Round of applause. Look at what y'all did. Y'all baby boomer generation, y'all were the first ones to be, oh, I'm gonna be a side bitch. I know he's a married man, but I'm gonna fuck with him anyway. All because you got low self-esteem, no value. Low self-confidence. All these men out here, and you go get one that ain't gonna help you take care of your kids. So now you and those kids gotta be on welfare. Now, those sons without a father are trying to navigate manhood. And then they keep producing children after children and generation after generation and just getting more messed up and more messed up. Well, you all fell for the greatest governmental psyop in history, and now look at where society is. Great job, baby boomers. That's on y'all. That is 100% on y'all. Because look at how fucked up Gen X is. Look at how millennials are. And then the millennials raised who? The Gen Zers. And Gen Alpha. Yep. So good job, single mothers from the boomer generation. You have literally single-handedly through feminism brought society to its knees. Because what country was it? I think it was Germany. If it wasn't Germany, it was one of them European countries over there. I don't remember which one it was. But they have made prostitution legal. And I just want you to know it's coming to the U.S. And as a man, pussy ain't never been free anyway. You gonna pay for your wife, your fiance, your girlfriend. And well, for the single men, you gonna be paying a prostitute, escort, hooker, whatever you want to call her. Sex worker, you're gonna be paying. It doesn't matter. As long as you got a dick, you gonna be paying for pussy. That's just the way of the world. You is not gonna be getting it for free. You might think you getting it for free, but sir, I just want you to know, in the long run, she might be crazy. She might turn around and bust out your tires, bust your windows on your car, spray paint on your car, bust the windows out your house, break in your house and fall through the ceiling. That happened to my uncle, by the way. I've heard and seen. I don't have to look far to see how society and generations have fallen. I don't have to look far. I can literally look at my mother, my uncles, and my auntie, all baby boomers. I don't have to look far to see how me as a millennial and to see my oldest brother who's a Gen Xer, to see how messed up they are. And to look at the root cause and where everything started. I would say probably from my grandmother, because my great-grandmother, she was always married. Now, when my great-grandfather cheated, she divorced him and then she remarried. And in her second marriage, he died and she remained lonely until she died. My grandmother, she was a baby mama of one child. Then she got married, had 5-6 more kids, and then got divorced and lived out the last, 20 decades, because she died when I was in college. So for the first 20 years of my life, I never seen my grandmother with a man. I've never seen her date. I've never seen her go out or anything. She stayed in the house, watched her programs, and basically babysitted her grandkids and great-grandkids. That's what she did until she died. Then you got my mother, who is now 60 years old. Well, me and my brother don't deal with you. So who gonna take care of you when you reform back into diapers and you become gum-gums? I'm not gonna be there. I opted out. My brother opted out too. That's why she don't know that the man is dying of kidney failure. I don't talk to the man, but word gets around through the grapevine in the family about what's going on with people. I had a cousin, she was too excited to tell me that the pedophile was dying of kidney failure. Me personally, I'm so happy with the life that I'm living. I'm so happy with my life, my love life, my financial life, my life just in general. Because when you change your mind, you change your life. You change the future. Even though I grew up with a narcissistic mother and I had to overcome so many obstacles, codependency, low self-esteem, low self-confidence. I had to start Creating boundaries. Boundary up, y'all. Boundary up. Can't nobody tell me nothing. You know, I'm at a place of peace in my life. I don't deal with none of the Let me tell you something. Single mothers are poor. They make up the poor, desolate part of the population. And these are facts. Single fathers, they not poor. They actually work. They do what's necessary to raise their children and to give their children a good, decent life. The mothers, they love to say that, but they don't. But I wasn't even trying to be on here for 45 minutes. It's so much to say. So I'm going to come out with a part 2. All right? See you in part 2.